Welcome, everybody, to the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. My name is Nicole Greer, and they call me the Vibrant Coach. And today I have Jackson Calame on my show, and he is here to talk about how to build a vibrant culture. In fact, he's got a business called First Class Business, and that's what you need to be building in order to have that vibrant culture. Let me tell you a little bit about Jackson. Jackson teaches visionary entrepreneurs how to unlock sustainable revenue growth and expand their legacy by becoming a power brand in their market. 96% of businesses fail within the first 10 years, and Jackson teaches businesses not only how to avoid failure, but how to win by becoming a true leader in their market. And you have to become a true leader in your company first. Having worked in, launched, and scaled several successful startups in the B2B industry and SaaS space, serving thousands of SMBs, Jackson has seen firsthand that even the best operators struggle and sometimes fail. The problem begins with poorly managed growth due to establishing a weak foundation, which inevitably leads to collapse. Jackson and his teams prepare business owners and executives to bridge their growth gaps. Collectively, they often fill the roles of COO, CMO, and CEO during this transformative process. Your key to success as growth occurs and operations shift will require that you evolve, developing an incredible, vibrant culture built around a clear vision dedicated to customer satisfaction, and it must be the focal point of a company's mission in order to ultimately thrive. Please welcome to the show, Jackson. How are you?
Fantastic, Nicole. It's great to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back. So, last time we talked, I probably asked you what your definition of leadership is. Have you had any tweaks or thoughts about leadership that are fresh?
I mean, I imagine, leadership is love. That's the type of
Okay.
leadership that I want. That's the type of leadership that we emulate. That's what I want to be part of. That's what I want to become. If we are loving in what we do, it's really hard to go wrong with how we serve, show up, and help people.
Yeah, yeah. And if you go to Jackson's website, which is firstclassbusiness.io, he's got a cool little diagram of kind of like a Greek looking building,
Mhm.
and love is really the foundation of everything you guys do. Is that correct?
It's huge. Absolutely. I chose that building on purpose, by the way. That
Oh,
is
okay.
the
Tell me about
that
it.
is the Pantheon, and the Pantheon
Right.
is the largest concrete dome building in the world, and it's over 2,000 years old. That's the type of legacy I want to build with my entrepreneurs. That's the type of entity I want to create, is one that's built on a super solid foundation that has the right pillars. So yes, love, patience, persistence, consistency, reliability. All of those are dynamics that we test for on the front end before we even bring somebody into the interview process. So yeah, gotta build on principles, in my opinion.
That's right. That's right. And I know that you're talking about, doing that for your customers, but I'd kind of like to hear your story. Like how you're building your company because you guys are going gangbusters over there, aren't you?
We are now, we are and we aren't. Why do I say that? So many people just want to grind, hustle, 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 build, build, build. There's seasons to that. Right? Yeah, we just brought on 5 co-hosts on my show Vision Pros Live, so I'm no longer the only host. We got 6 of us. We've got 3 new distributors as well, and these are, when I say distributors, people who are good at social media, people who are learning how to find other leaders as well, people who are chopping up videos and editing those. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And we go through these seasons of, right now it's time to scale a little bit, but we also want to make sure we pay attention to the client threshold. If we bring on 10 new clients, we want to make sure we take great care of those 10 new clients. So we might pause for 2 weeks on growth and then reassess as a leadership. Are we ready to bring on 10 more, or are we not? And that, what that does, it empowers us to scale to great capacity. And as I mentioned, I'm gonna give away the best secret sauce I possibly can right now that I see so many brands overlooking. If your brand does not have a careers tab or a join our team tab that has an actual funnel and campaign associated with it, you don't have a very good growth vision. It's very easy to see that you have forgotten the value and the importance of your people, and it's going to be hard to create supply and demand that's in your favor. So it's going to be hard to attract the top talent in the market. If you're not attracting the top talent, how are they going to feel like they want to belong to your company and work with you and become part of the team? So that's been a phenomenal transformation for us, is putting a strong focus on attracting the best people to come in and work with us. And there's a couple of secret sauce ingredients that allow us to do that too.
Yeah, so I love what you're saying because, I do a ton of recruiting in my business. And when I go to recruit for an organization, I'm looking for that careers page. And
Mhm.
oftentimes it might say careers, but then it like links to a human resource information system or something like that. But it doesn't have anything where it's sprinkling some love on people,
Right.
trying to attract them to the company. So I love that. Did everybody write that down? You got to get a little drip campaign. So are you guys using like SurveyMonkey or not SurveyMonkey, excuse me, MailChimp or like a Constant Contact or something like that? What system are you using to kind of sprinkle people with love?
One of the neat things is I'm a big fan of the E-Myth, right? And it's all about delegation the right way. So,
Yeah.
yes, I know our procedures, resources, and templates. And yes, I help my team figure out how to implement those. But at the end of the day, they choose the systems, they manage what we use. So, it's probably some combination of Go High Level mixed with WordPress and a few others. But I don't
Okay.
even need to dive into that. I know that Zach and Valentina and Diana and Cindy are all taking care of that. And part of what empowers us to bring on so many team members as well is I speak Spanish fluently and I can tap into the untapped market of Central and South America, where, yes, the wages are lower than the Philippines. And there's an opportunity to make dramatic impact in the lives of those people that we're bringing on. And they want to learn English too, and they're on our time zone. So there's a lot of value of having team members throughout the world who can help at different capacities. But to your point of systems as well, and bringing these leaders in, I wish more entrepreneurs would empower their teams to become the experts, and instead of trying to micromanage the process of that, empower them to choose the systems and say, which systems do you guys think we should be utilizing?
And I guess I asked the question in case somebody's thinking, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and
it's
that's
through,
how find great people. I hear a lot of people say, I can't afford an X, Y, or Z. Well, you really you can't afford not to have an X, Y, or Z. So the question is, how do you find one that wants equity or wants rev share or that wants experience or that wants money is the least motivating factor in business growth. And I'm grateful for the late Tony Hsieh, right, of Pursuing Happiness,
mhm.
Zappos CEO. He did a really great job of teeing people up for success and realizing that money was the lazy motivator. There's so many other reasons people may want to work with you, but if you have the mentality that people will only work for you if you have the best 401k package or the best benefits package, or you pay them and a crazy amount of money, then yeah, you're not going to be aligned with finding the people who want to belong to an entity where purpose matters.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm a big HR person, and so the Society for Human Resource Management has been putting out a survey for years, and it says why do people work at a certain company, and money is always like number seven.
Wow, I would love that.
You know,
If you can, I would love the reference on that. That would be
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So it's always very low, and the number one reason people stay is because like they enjoy and do work they love. That's the number one reason
If
people
you
work there.
saw our Slack channel, you would see exactly that. It is such a it's like
Yeah.
coming to my birthday every day in our company because
Hmm.
everybody's just so excited to see each other and say hi. And one of the reasons that happens is our Friday get together, level up, calm down. Is it's a fun time to get together. We have an hour and a half back office break room style. Sometimes we karaoke. We're not allowed to talk about
Fantastic.
anything stressful and anything that would bring anxiety into the conversation. No priorities, just an hour and a half to really get to know each other. Yes, we do some important work, but we position that at 12:45. And the reason why is because everybody's able to get their work done in the morning and then they're able to come into that meeting. We have an awesome time together until 2, and then everybody leaves that meeting reinvigorated, finishing the day strong, and then we go into the weekend happy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And tell us what you call it again.
We call
You
it
said it really
level
fast.
up, calm down. All right, so we're gonna get better, but we're also gonna calm down and enjoy it.
Okay, very good. Well, on top of your foundation of love on his picture of the Pantheon, he also has, and he rattled these off very quickly earlier, so
Yeah.
let's not let them just slip past us.
Good for you.
He talks about that you have to have some values inside of your company. And when you mentioned Tony Shea, I was just like, I just love the core values that he put in place at Zappos. My favorite one was e- everyone has to be a little weird. I think is my favorite. And I'm like, that is the greatest core
That's a good
value
one.
ever. Everybody has to be a little weird. And like when they interview people at Zappos, they're like, "How are you weird?"
Yes, that's so cool. I think I'm weird enough that it's kind of like you're not gonna really enjoy working with me if you're not weird. So
Right, right, yeah. But he, bless his heart, he's popped off the planet now.
yeah,
But anyways, go read that book. And it's what is it? The title is something happiness.
it
What is it?
is
Happiness at
pursuing
work?
happiness, I believe.
Pursuing
Drive.
happiness.
Oh, delivering happiness. Here it is.
That's right.
There it
Delivering Happiness. Yeah, such a good read. I need to get that thing out and read it again. Yeah, that's kind of an oldie moldy on the shelf. I gotta get that out. All right, so let's talk about your first class business values. So you're thinking about building a vibrant culture. And so a company needs to have a foundation of love. We love our employees and we take care of them. But what about consistency? That's one of your values. Will you talk a little bit about consistency?
Huge. Yes. Consistency and reliability are two of the hardest traits to not only quantify, but also measure for. And the reason why is it takes time, right? So you need to have periods of days that go by in order to see if somebody's truly going to be consistent and if they're going to be reliable. So the difference between the two, somebody can be consistent in showing up for work on time, for instance, right? They can win that. I hated that award. I still hate it, actually. The one for school of never missing a day. Perfect attendance. See, I couldn't even
Zero.
think of the
Oh,
name of
zero tardies was what was in my head.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
And as a kid who had freshman year, first semester, 63 tardies
Uh-oh.
in one semester, and also did not mind missing school once in a while. Um, I didn't care for that. So consistency is valuable and it's helpful to be able to do what needs to be done. But reliability, I was an all star student. I got my work done. The same American history teacher that knew I was going to come in late every single day would, for some reason, and I wouldn't do my homework, she'd let me use an open book on the test. Nobody else in the room was allowed to do that except for me.
Hmm.
And but I listened in her class. I paid attention and I knew more history than most of the kids did in there because I was just a student of life. I cared about the subject. So consistency and reliability, it means different things to different people. I went into an interview at Best Buy and I was going to get a job there. And there's two big things that happen. This kid comes in a little bit late, and the manager, the regional supervisor, was so rude to him, was so condescending about him being late.
Mm.
You can tell he already knew that he shouldn't have been late, right? And nobody knew what
Right. He had
happened.
guilt all over him.
Oh, it's awful. And then guess who didn't have a pen? Right, the guy who came in late. So she kind of hit him in that. And then we're doing our final interviews, and in our final interview, one of my healthy boundaries at the time was I wasn't going to work on Sundays for religious purposes. And she said, we really want you to work with us. One of the things we love most about you is that you aren't willing to compromise on your Sundays. And in order to work here, we need you to. And
That
so
doesn't make any
we're
sense.
we're ready to hire you, but you have to be willing to work on Sundays. And yeah, as a 21-year-old kid, I walked out of that super confused and upset and frustrated and like, what did I just experience? Like how I felt so filthy, so violated in that reality. And
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people go into work environments where they're ready to perform, they're going to do great, and then some stupid arbitrary reason about like being 5 minutes late causes a dissonance or a leader to kind of lose their focus and lose their mind. And if you're the person who's supposed to open the bank in the morning, you cannot be late. I get
That's
that.
exactly right.
There are roles that require that, but there are so many roles that do not require the same types of consistencies and the same types of reliabilities as others. So, learning to play the game of entrepreneurship, or better yet, get out of the way go be the chief visionary and let a chief executive officer or chief operating officer come in who has years of wisdom working with people in those realities and recognizing what does consistency mean for this particular role. And you have to have done that over 100 different roles in order to know how to properly orchestrate a team to scale.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing about consistency that's important is if other people are waiting to get started and they need you. So there's
Yes,
all sorts of
correct.
little parts and
I
pieces
love
to it.
that.
You know, if you're an individual contributor and you don't need anybody else to get your stuff started, you're going to come in 10 minutes late, stay 10 minutes late.
One
Perfect.
of the challenges
Yeah,
with that they overlook though, that we overlook is, and Peter Drucker, this is my mouse pad by the way, The Effective Executive. It's the
so
most
good.
ignored, fantastic book in the business world. And he says we need
Wait,
to
what year
define.
was that written? That's so good. What year? Just open it up real quick. What year was that written?
Oh
Because
my
Peter's popped
goodness.
off the planet now too.
This
Uh,
was
the effective executive,
this is the
everybody.
2004 edition.
Okay, yeah, but it
So
was prior to that.
yeah.
Hey, fun fact while he's looking that up, Peter Drucker wrote like over 66 books in his lifetime, and he wrote most of them after he turned 50. So he's like my little hero. I'm going to get ready and rare to go on my 66 books anytime now,
Amazing.
Jackson.
He's amazing. And
I
he
know.
says what one of the challenges we have, and again, I don't see this practice anywhere, is companies are not defining who is a required attendee for a meeting and who is
Oh
an
my gosh.
optional attendee for the meeting. If that
Yes.
person is optional for the meeting, but they still feel included because we didn't leave them out, and we make space for them to come in or out of that meeting and teach how to not disrupt in the process and build a culture around that, you can do amazing things. But when we've got arbitrary meetings with lackadaisical agendas and no focus, and we don't know who's supposed to speak or somebody dominates there's so many little nuances that all we need to do is learn to practice those nuances, figure out the ingredients to the recipe, and then put it on repeat and optimize it over time. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and that would be consistency as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and so let me just read what his little definition is, just to kind of tie a bow on consistency. It's accomplishing your work professionally. This means being consistent. From timelines to honest assessments, you got to deliver. So bottom line is can the employee do the work and do it well, despite what time they come in, right? Okay, and so you threw reliability into the mix. Let me read that definition too. Reliable goes beyond consistency. We must be able to complete the right job at the right in the right time frame in the right way. So talk a little bit more about reliability. Tease that out for us.
Sure. So reliability is that type of employee or team member where I know they're going to get the work done, so I don't have to worry about it. Right. And when I've got somebody that's managing my email inbox, for instance, I spend a lot of time training my executive assistant up on many, many, many different aspects and looking at, okay, what areas can I rely on her for and which areas can I not? Then, as I found the areas that I cannot, okay, can I spend more time with her on these areas, work out the kinks for how we're going to manage this moving forward? And is it going to stick? Or is this one of those areas where it's best to hand off to another team member? So I want to reflect back on the opposite side. While I know we want to take all the notes for how do we get other people to be consistent? How do we get other people to be reliable? My ultimate goal is how do I be consistent in my leadership with love? How do I show my team that I am reliable and that I'm going to show up with love to help them win? And as I've focused on that, my team has begun to run circles around me in terms of how much they produce. I equate it to I'm out on a jet ski helping people, and we got our aircraft carrier, and somehow they're getting faster and faster at getting further down, further off into the ocean. If I'm not careful, I'm going to be way behind, like, hey, don't leave me, because they're doing so good at moving the mission forward. So as visionaries, as entrepreneurs, a lot of times, yes, we want to be out working. What do they say? On the business, not in the business. Like
Right.
that's so overused. But there are things that require attention outside of our business. We also have to make sure that we have people working within our business to build out the infrastructure too. So reliability and consistency. I think the buck stops with us as leaders. We need to be the best examples of that in our brands.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of times I'll be talking to leaders, and I'm like, there's this saying, and maybe it's overused, but I don't think so. Lead by example.
Yeah,
So if you're reliable and consistent, it shows everybody else how to show up for the job. So that's fantastic.
for sure.
All right, so we're talking about Jackson's first class business values model, and you can go to his website. Let me repeat it for you: firstclassbusiness.io. And he's got a picture on his About Us page of his pantheon. And so he's got that on there. And he also talks about one of the pillars to success is persistence. He says, I will persist until I succeed. We will diligently fulfill our duties as we drive incredible results as our persistence is tenacious. So, talk a little bit about persistence and how important that is.
Oh, I'm hoping I can find the book real fast.
Okay, all right.
OG
He's Googling,
OG
Googling.
Mondino, the greatest
Oh,
salesman in the world.
Og Mandino.
Og.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
there you
so
go.
good.
Original gangster. Just kidding. Yeah. So Og Mondino.
Oh,
So
he is. He's right there with all the other guys with Covey. We could name them all off today.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the quote comes from. I've never read his book, but I was part of a sales program that talked about that pretty heavily. That
Yes.
mantra, and I've always kind of had that in me. I don't think I would have survived. I had a pretty interesting childhood, one with a wonderful family on one side, my mom's side, and my dad's side was about as dark as it got. And so
Mm,
going through that experience, there was just something in me that helped me learn to be a fighter, learn to be somebody who was going to make things happen. I didn't like the fact that I learned early on the statistics that a kid from a divorced family, is pretty much, has a very, very low chance of success in different aspects of life. And I heard more and more statistics about the realities of that and blah, blah, blah. And I just learned, you know what? I am not going to be a statistic. I'm going to do all the things that I can to make sure to build up. And then I had a mission president at 20 years old. I think I was either 19 or 20 when he said it. He talked about his family and how out of his 6 children, the odds were that only 2 would serve their missions. And so he said, you know what? If I want better than the average results, I have to do better than average behaviors in my household
hmm
as a parent. And he really helped me connect with that and say, okay, if I want the best life has to offer, then I have to be willing to be my best in order to get it.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. Yeah, and I think the thing that rose up inside of you was spirit. I mean,
Yep.
that's what that is. It's like I don't know where it came from, but I thought, nope, I'm not going that route. So that's just a little
Mhm.
whisper from the spirit. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And so you do have to get Og Mandino's book if you're a salesperson listening to this, or CEO, because I mean, epic stuff. This is like 1970s, early 80s. Oh, those guys were great that were out there. I'll tell you another guy who I love, a sales guy, is Nito Quabain. Do you know Nito
No,
Quabain?
I don't. Most people
Okay.
don't.
All right. So just a little bunny trail on Nito Cobain. He's kind of the Augmentino, that whole era. And he is now I think his title's president. But anyways, he's over High Point University, where you need to send your 4 children, by the way. And I say I sent my daughter there. It is fantastic. But he's got just all these books about how to be the best and keep pursuing excellence and keep going and persistence. He's fantastic. So all right,
That's
a little
awesome.
shout out for you, Nito. Love you. Okay, all right. And the next value that we have on Jackson's first class business values, his little model that you can find on his website, is patience. Oh, and people hear that word, Jackson, they're like, they roll their eyes.
Mm.
This is a challenging one, patience. So people need our help, but they also need our support. We patiently attend to the needs of those we serve, especially when it's uncomfortable. Do tell, what are you talking about?
This is probably one of the traits I struggle with most. As a persistent individual, it is very hard to be patient. And it often becomes the demise of a scenario where I get too anxious, I get too passionate, right? And passion can be quickly misinterpreted as aggressive.
Right,
And
and angry.
yes, and so I think a part of that too is if you have a lot of masculinity within you, we have to learn to tone that down. There's a new cadence required, a new tone, new pace. and there's an opportunity for us to balance out more. So, you entrepreneurs out there, I know it's hard to do and hard to imagine I don't even have the words for it because I want to be so direct about it. But I think the greater challenge is what, there's a TED Talk. The TED Talk is how to not get offended, and redhead stands out.
Mm.
Like a bueno. Like I just went to Spanish. Sorry. But anyway, look it up. Look up how to not get offended. He talks about a coin flip. I'm not going to ruin it for you. It is brilliant the way that he delivers this message, and if we could learn to simultaneously be less offended by
Mhm.
feedback while also becoming softer and more diplomatic with the feedback that we provide, we're going to become inevitably much, much, much better leaders. So I just know, like, but if you want feedback, if you really want to grow and succeed, the question needs to constantly come out of your mouth. How can I be better? What can I improve? What can I change? Don't give me the fluffy stuff that the world gives. Don't tell me I'm good and I don't need to get better. And don't come at me with the self-deprecation or the like, oh no, you're great how you are. Why do you feel that way? Like, I mean, I get it. We live in a society that is so sensitive to feedback, but you're not going to get to the next levels of business until we start saying, no, I'm not. And I tell my guests after every podcast experience, Vision Pros Live, we celebrate first, I celebrate how well they did. And then I say, okay, what, if anything, is there anything that you would change about your entire experience with us in order to improve this experience for the next guest? Knowing that 99% of those people are not going to say one thing because they don't want to offend me. They don't want me to be hurt. They don't, plus they can't see anything because our episodes are really, and then they're like, well, no, it's just like tiny. And I'm like, look, let me tell you one little story. I said, when we were running Restaurant Connect, and we were building software for fine dining, the best restaurants in the world. And we got the Masters Tournament
Mm.
guys to working with us. And I'm training up all 7 restaurants. Well, before we got that contract, they wanted a system that was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Right. So we had covered every single track, but we decided, you know what? When the check is paid and the host team member marks the check is paid on the system, let's have that send a text message to the valet. That way, the valet goes and gets the car and brings the car around. And as that guest is walking out of the experience, expecting to have to wait in the valet, nope, their car is right there, ready to go, keys in hand, no disruption of service. And when we looked at life as that opportunity for how do we make this even more fun? How do we make this even better? And then I tell my guests, so what, if anything, can we update to make sure that that type of experience happens for the next guest? And if we would look at the opportunity for growth and the opportunity for change with a positive happiness passion, it doesn't hurt to change. It's a blessing. It's an opportunity to maximize life. So I wish I could inspire people faster to grasp that concept. That would be fantastic. In the meantime, I've got to learn to be more patient with those who cannot feel that.
Yeah, and I love the thing you're saying about the fine dining with the car being waiting out front. I think that kind of thing, that any kind of customer service thing like that delights me. And so don't miss that. That's also like consistency, reliability, persistence of excellence, all that. It's all those that story's all those and love. We love our people who come and
Absolutely.
buy bougie dinners from us, so we must take care of them and love them. So I love that story. That's fantastic. Yeah, and the other thing about patience, you were saying that leaders need to be able to give good feedback, and then they need to be able to accept it. And I couldn't agree more. And sometimes leaders will say something like this to me. They'll be like, "He should know," and I'm always like, "Well,
Oh,
they don't know." They don't know. They
should
don't
is
know.
a
People
controlling word.
people have blind spots, and you got to help people learn. And so I think the other thing we could add to patience is you need to be a good teacher.
Yes. Oh,
You got to be a good
absolutely.
teacher.
And
Yeah.
it helps to have a system. I got this poster behind me. We've
Hmm.
recreated it, but that is the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Right.
Yeah.
So the
Oh,
five
there.
dysfunctions
Okay.
of
If I
a team.
write that down, Patrick Lencioni. We
Yes.
love that one too.
Yes, Patrick Lencioni is an absolute rock star when it comes to leadership development, and it's required reading for everybody who joins our company.
Hmm.
I'm including my clients, my prospects as well, have to read that book. Otherwise, they will not understand our championship level culture. We sometimes find clients who have championship level cultures, but there's a reason it's called champion. It's not something you can claim you have a championship level culture, but it's one thing to claim it. It's another to actually build it and do it, subscribe to it and follow it. And
Hmm.
that book, it's so imperative that the team comes in really, because they got a backlog, right? Everybody has a history of working for non-championship level companies. So you have to
Hmm.
untrain all of the habits and all of the mindsets and all of the paradigms that they're bringing into your organization, and make sure that you're also capturing, all right, what are they going to add that's valuable. Those two things, there's a fostering process, a cultivation process, a weeding process, if you will. You look at a lot of different ways, but it is it's impossible, in my opinion, to build a championship level culture without championship level guidance. So don't attempt that alone and anticipate becoming a great company.
That's fantastic. Well, I have so loved having you on the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast, and we have gone through Jackson's first class business values today. He's talked about consistency, reliability, persistence, patience, and the foundation of love. And I love your message. I think it's beautiful. He's given you some stuff to read. You've got 3 books now. You got to get on your reading list. We'll have it in the show notes. But my people that are listening are like, wait, wait, one more nugget from Jackson. What little nugget would you kind of leave with my listeners that would set them on the right direction?
I have a resource that
Okay.
has been built on the shoulders of these giants. So,
Okay.
is it better than the effective executive and five dysfunctions and the E Myth, etc.? I believe it's more applicable because it's the combination of all of that pulled into 14 years of how do we do this and win as fast as we can. It's called the Power Launch. It's right there on the homepage. There's a webinar. It's a 2-hour webinar. If you listen to, I don't know, Hiring on Purpose, or you listen to the 1 Minute Manager, those are going to take you several hours to get through. This is a 2-hour webinar. After that 2-hour webinar, you will be empowered with the information you need to scale your business by at least $20,000 per month in new revenues within 45 to 180 days. The revenues are the vehicle to be able to do more for those that we serve. It's not about the money. If it's about the money, you won't get what you need to out of that. But if the revenues are something that you cherish so that you can help more people's lives and you're going to lead the right way, then the Power Launch can absolutely serve you. You'll see it's $5,000 a month or $44,000. Or I jump cut and say $49 a month for everybody listening to this right now. You get absolutely free access to everything that we have. And if you get to a point where you want to work with us, we believe in the pay what you want model. You as a visionary need to know what you're paying your providers, not asking your providers to make your financial decisions for you. That is a death sentence for businesses. Start deciding what you are going to pay people, not asking them for permission to control your vision and dream. You're the visionary, not me.
All right. So you can find Jackson at firstclassbusiness.io. Thank you, Jackson, so much for being on the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. Hey, everybody. If you liked this episode, click that little thumbs up. And if you would please go down and make a nice comment for Jackson and myself, I would appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much, Jackson. I'm grateful, grateful, grateful.
Oh, we love you, Nicole. Appreciate you hosting us again.